If you tuned in to watch the Red Bull car reveal, then I'm sorry. I did too, and I feel your pain. If you made the decision of going to watch paint dry instead, then well done, you made the right choice. And luckily for you, you can now enjoy me telling you in painful detail everything that happened, everything that didn't happen, and how we all fell for Red Bull's old tricks. I hope you enjoyed this video more than I did the Red Bull launch. Let's start with the only piece of real news from the car launch and probably the most exciting part of the event. Don't worry, I'm going to use the opportunity to vent my frustrations and fill you in on everything that went wrong with the launch later on. The big reveal of the event was in fact not Red Bull's livery that looked identical to every other livery they've ever made. It was actually the announcement of Ford returning to Formula 1 after more than 22 years away from the sport. The company will part-fund Red Bull's engine from 2026, replacing Honda. It's fantastic to be welcoming Ford back into Formula 1 through this partnership, said Red Bull team principal Christian Horner. Ford, which was last in F1 in 2004, will work to develop the power unit for Red Bull and sister team AlphaTauri from 2026 to at least 2030. Ford says one of the key reasons for its return is its commitment to sustainability, which aligns with F1's pledge to be carbon neutral by 2030 and to introduce sustainable fuels in F1 cars from 2026. The power unit will meet F1's new technical regulations, including a 350 kilowatt electric motor and a new combustion engine able to accept fully sustainable fuels. They are a manufacturer rich in motoring history that spans generations, said Horner. From Jim Clark to Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher, the lineage speaks for itself. To open the next chapter of that dynasty as Red Bull Ford is tremendously exciting. 2026 is still a while away, but for us, the work already starts as we look to a new future and a continued evolution of Oracle Red Bull Racing. In our video before the Ford reveal, we said this was going to happen, and a lot of people scoffed at the idea of Ford developing engines for Formula 1. I'm not going to call all of you out individually because that would take far too long, but just know I'm watching you. I know that when you think of Ford, you don't exactly think of cutting-edge performance cars, especially when you think that Porsche was another of Red Bull's options. But let's look at the facts before you make a decision. Ford has a rich history in Formula 1 and is the third most successful engine manufacturer in the history of the sport, behind Mercedes and Ferrari. The legendary Cosworth DFV V8 engine secured 155 race victories from 1967 and dominated F1 until the advent of the turbo era in the early 1980s. In total, Ford celebrated 174 Grand Prix wins, won 10 constructors' titles and 13 drivers' championships, starting with Lotus and Graham Hill in 1968. Further titles followed with the likes of Jackie Stewart, James Hunt and Mario Andretti. Ford's most recent title victory came as its engine powered Benetton's Michael Schumacher to the 1994 Driver's Crown. Ford-powered F1 cars are the third most successful in the history of Formula 1, behind only Ferrari and Mercedes. I know that the vast majority of those achievements are more than 40 years ago, but you get the idea. Ford wasn't always boring, so let's give them a chance first. That is the sole highlight of the Red Bull reveal, ticked off the list of things to cover, so let's move on to the lowlights. Some of these are Mariana Trench low as well, so get ready to slap your forehead in frustration. The obvious place to start is with the actual car we saw. We should have known better, to be fair. We shouldn't have got excited. We shouldn't have let hope set in, but despite everything telling us to expect nothing, we expected everything as the countdown on the stream started to tick towards zero. We knew they wouldn't show a new car. It's too soon and there is absolutely no reason to give away any new parts until the Bahrain test at the end of February. Nonetheless, we let ourselves get excited just to be inevitably let down. The car shown was not the one we'll see on track, and Horner was very clear about that at the reveal, so we aren't even going to bother analysing what was shown. It didn't even have the new wing mirrors required in the 2023 regulations. It really wasn't that surprising that they didn't show the new car. No one did last year either, but what did hurt was the new livery. Or should I say, the lack of a new livery. Red Bull had dropped hints with tweets about them having a blank canvas for 2023, but the tweets had a hidden meaning that everyone missed. While their base livery was not much of a surprise, Red Bull did reveal at the launch that fans will be granted the opportunity to design 3 bespoke liveries this year, each for a race in the USA. A judging panel will select a winning livery to decorate the RB19 in Miami, Austin, and Vegas. That is exciting, and we can't wait to see what people come up with. Maybe one of you in the comments has the artistic talent to make it happen. In Red Bull's defense, there are plenty of teams on the grid that have run the exact same livery forever and no one seems to care. Ferrari has been red all over with some poorly hidden Marlboro cigarette sponsorship for years, and everyone loses their mind every year when they reveal it. The livery is part of the brand image of the team, and overhauling it every year would probably lower brand identification or something. I don't know, I don't work in marketing, but that's bound to be the reason. Just tuning in to be disappointed by what was revealed wouldn't have been too bad though. Considering what I said earlier, you're probably wondering what I'm complaining about. Well, you didn't have to sit through the best part of an hour of awkward interviews and random Red Bull athletes talking about Red Bull before that. Once the countdown on the stream dropped to 0, we were greeted by Mexican sports journalist Giselle Zaura and American sports journalist Marty Smith, perhaps the least charismatic pair of hosts Red Bull could have found. Marty seemed as excited to be there as Tim Cook was when he waved the checkered flag at the Circuit of the Americas last season. I never thought we'd see a repeat of the Chuck Leclerc incident from Willie T. Ribb's post-race interview in Miami, but Marty seemed to know even less about the sport than him. Both hosts were more like robots than human beings, and a lack of real enthusiasm leaked into a crowd that was apparently packed with Ford influencers. They were as dead as Ferrari's title challenge in 2022. Their awkward, artificial intelligence-esque conversation continued to the interview segment with Red Bull athletes who were completely unattached to the Formula One world. To be fair to the athletes, they were clearly there contractually, and used the chance to spread the word about the amazing projects they were all working on. When you tune in to watch a car reveal though, you don't want to spend half an hour hearing about fencing and snowboarding. Perhaps the worst slip-up of the event was Daniel Ricciardo's unveiling as the team's third driver. Obviously, we knew he was there already, but this was a chance for the team to officially welcome him back and show him off in Red Bull colours. Giselle tried her best to get the crowd pumped to see Formula One's most charismatic driver, but calling him Daniel Retardo was not a good way to do it. YouTube's captions even showed up as that. She's worked in Formula One for over a decade, which made it even more painful. Daniel didn't even flinch and tried his best to carry the awkward interview, but Giselle really failed to get the best out of a great interview subject. I'm going to assume that Marty and Giselle are outstanding presenters for their respective employers, but it was incredibly clear that Marty knew nothing about Formula One, and Giselle was not comfortable in that environment. I've let Marty off lightly so far, so let's circle back around to him. Christian Horner and Max Verstappen were clearly baffled by being called brother constantly, and from the look of the YouTube chat, most of the viewers were baffled by this as well. I know it's a Southern Americanism, but it wasn't well received by those he was talking to or the viewers. The final nail in the coffin came as Marty Smith announced that Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali was to take the stage. There was silence, a few awkward jokey comments from the president of Ford and Marty Smith, before the news came through that Domenicali would not be appearing. Domenicali was actually being interviewed at that moment by Chris Midland for SiriusXM and believed he had communicated a change of plan. The original plan was for him to be a part of the welcoming of Ford to Formula One, though clearly this event had become a marketing occasion aimed primarily at promoting the Red Bull brand and its current F1 partners. The Ford announcement was very much an afterthought tagged on the end. So it was either for this reason Domenicali backed out, or possibly because he preferred not to be a part of the shambles that unfolded. Honestly, if you have a burning desire to watch some Red Bull Formula One media stuff, go watch Daniel Ricciardo on The Late Show, or Christian Horner and Sergio Perez on The Tonight Show. Both were far more watchable, in no small part thanks to their charismatic hosts and well-researched interview questions. Okay, I'm done. If you sat through that hour-long torture show, then let us know in the comments so we can all suffer together. On your way down, don't forget to subscribe in preparation for the 2023 season. And until next time, drive safe and bye for now.